phone network you're on,
Yeah.
what software you're running. It's irrelevant to either of us. And that's what crypto world will become. It's this next layer of consumer stuff that changes everything. And the speed at which this is going to happen, I don't think people are prepared for.
Yeah. And what do you, again, as a technologist and as one of a team of people on our side that's building a lot of this out and thinking through this, as we're building, what do you think of interoperability across chains? What do you think that one who's building this space should prioritize as we're thinking about, the fact that what you just said is in the future, it's not going to matter, but, over the next 5 or 10 years, for example, we're built on Ethereum, we're looking at other integrations. How does one like us or in a technologist generally in this space kind of decide prioritization?
I think you start as you're doing, you choose something, and Ethereum's the best because it's got the deepest, richest community of developers, applications, and tools. But you have to be aware that you should be absolutely agnostic, as you said you were in the beginning, of what chain people use, how people do it, anything, even to wallets, because the more restrictions you place upon people, the less likely you will succeed. That's the reality here. Because again, if you are building digital sovereign states, generally the value will accrue to those that offer the best advantages. So whether that's financial incentives or whether it's freedoms or privacy or whatever value system you or I hold. And so I think we're going to see a lot of movement around who's offering what to the community. And part of this is right now, all of these cryptocurrencies are communities in their own right. Bitcoin is basically a community with a set of ideals. And the set of ideals is, some of them have the libertarian belief, others have the monetary thought process, store of value, but basically all coalesces about a bunch of beliefs, and then there's a system of money around it. I mean, it's all
right, pretty much. Search engines.
Search engines. And search engines, such as Google, that became quickly the leader, brought this sense of coordination. So you could still have the decentralization, but you had one point of entry where you could instantly access all kinds of pages on the internet. And they can also created standards as to how to plug your content into the search engine. So you would have to optimize your meta tags, your links, your alt tags on pictures. They created all kinds of ways for the search engine to interoperate with the web pages, which brought the coordination that was needed. But at the same time that we won this coordination, we lost decentralization. And from that point, we went into a big concentration, let's say, and centralization direction that we have now experiencing the worst part of it, in my opinion. And so those guys came in, very smart, very nice, very ambitious, funded by very greedy investors, and they started to build products that would provide insane levels of standardization, coordination.
Yeah, super.
We have no idea what we're going to come up with. It's basically monkeys at a typewriter. Somebody's going to come up with Shakespeare, right? Somebody's going to come with the complete works of Shakespeare because there's that many people doing it. Yeah. So we just have to keep our minds open because there is no kind of master plan. Tim Sweeney's not going to create the new world and we're all going to go and live there. It's just not going to work that way because there's so much innovation, entrepreneurial activity, and it's coalescing around two different things. One is kind of pure capitalism, and the other is society and community. Those two actually, in the present world, actually don't fit together pretty well. They do quite well here in the Cayman Islands. In the US, they're kind of opposite ends. One you're labeled a progressive, and the other you're labeled as a right winger, and those two worlds are not allowed to meet. But when I look at the experimentation going on, it's all coming on to something different. Community and capitalism all together. A DAO is basically a communist structure within a free market system. Right. This is interesting, because if you got a bunch of economists, put them in the room and said design a system, none of them would have done this.
Yeah. No, it is super interesting. I love that, analogy about the monkeys and the typewriter producing Shakespeare. I think, that's, I guess, what's the best way? I think the best way to go about that is if you're creating a virtual world like